shilling you that this is just a typical 4-year cycle is bullshitting you for their obviously benefit some way, clickbait online or YouTube videos. The moment it died is in 2024, when for the first time in the 4-year cycle, by the way, it's a 16-year-old market. The first 16 years of gold, people don't look back and say, you know what, those first 16 years, that's the pattern it's followed. No, it changes, it evolves, goes to civilizations. Obviously, it's still new. 16 years now, a few years from now, it's only gonna be, 20 years. But the point is this, that it died as soon as BlackRock, basically, in my opinion, actually even further than that, President Trump's first term, I believe in 2018-19, they approved the first CME, Chicago Mercantile Exchange future products for Bitcoin. And then in 2024, January, I believe, before the Bitcoin halving, the first IBIT, BlackRock Bitcoin ETF was approved. And it created a situation where for the first time in its history, it was only less than, at that point it was, now we're 15, 2026, 2024, 13 years or 14, whatever. I'm really bad at math, believe it or not. We hit at a new all-time high, whereas before in the prior cycles, an all-time high was hit after the halving, not before the halving. So based on that, by the way, for people that are watching this later or coming in live, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video. Sharing is caring and it's free. Likes are free as well, and it helps the channel grow. So continuation of that, the first time that we really saw it dying was in 2024. Again, the ETFs. First time it hit an all-time before. And you have to consider that before that, we only had like 2 halvings, 2013, which was 2017 was the real one, like that cycle. 2016, 2017 was the real one, where you really saw, okay, maybe there's a 4-year cycle going on here. And then again, 2021, and that was just a coincidence, right? Because at that time, it maybe did make a difference. But ever since the IBIT situation, dead. Then you move on forward into October 10th, which prior, right, you always had a reason why Bitcoin would dump. One thing was people obviously taking profits that understood, hey, once you make a certain amount of money, you take profits and reinvest at the bottom. Another thing is also, there was also a situation, right? 2017, again, 2013 doesn't count. 2017, the second halving cycle bullshit. You had the Ethereum initial coin offering phase where people were like, oh, look, I want to invest in the next Ethereum. Ethereum did it. And you had tons of people investing into projects. 99.9% of them were bullshit. I remember one person invested $20,000 into an IPO, and then they got a middle finger, which is hilarious. But anyway, 2017, you had that situation that basically caused it, right? Over leveraged, bubble popped, crashed down again. Then 2021, 2022, what you had was the FTX, Sam Bankman, by the way, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. You had the Sam Bankman-Fried FTX crash and the Terra Luna crash. By the way, it fucked a lot of people. I personally know somebody that ran a hedge fund, garage hedge fund, you could say, a smaller hedge fund operation. They did it right. They saw the prices declining. They were like, we're gonna put this into a stable coin that's algorithmic. Quando destroyed a lot of lives. So basically, you had that aspect. You had those two things that caused it, right? FTX, the biggest exchange at the time, crashing. And Quando, stable token, depegging. People losing millions. Okay. What did you have last year? You didn't really have anything. You had a coincidence. If you were to do the math and see October 10th, whatever, 2025 was like the day to take out money or when the cycle was dead, what you did see was this, and this is gonna be crazy. And some people might say it's conspiratorial. You saw a glitch, quote unquote, a glitch in the system, which in my opinion was the system saying, listen, we gotta cause this 4-year cycle, or we think it's a 4-year cycle, so let's fucking crash the market, liquidate everybody, and let's start over again. Binance, that's what my opinion is. Right now, Binance is the biggest exchange in the world. And obviously, certain people that were in the market for since 2010, for the first time you saw them actually taking large amounts of money out, like billions and billions and billions. So, again, that was, in my opinion, that was manufactured to create the illusion of a 4-year cycle. And it worked very well because it was in coincidence with the situation at the time with Trump and China going at it with taxes and China reneging on certain promises, talking behind the U.S.'s back, blah, blah, blah. Not a political channel, but politics sometimes creates a narrative. So if you understand that, again, bullshit illusion. Now what we're seeing is this. What a coincidence, right? We had the Genius Act passed, right? Stable yield, coin yields, we have that behind us in theory, right? But now you're starting to see that the banks for the past 6 months during a government shutdown, nobody said anything about a bill. Oh, release a bill. We want to get rid of stablecoin yield because it's against the banks. I'm like, what a beautiful coincidence. Market crashes again. All we're seeing is the banks now, and I believe the crypto community, certain aspects of them, are talking in DC today, and they've been talking the past few weeks, and stating their case. Banks, hey, this, you can't destroy our industry and community banks, versus crypto community saying, hey, listen, this is the point of innovation. You can't stifle innovation because you don't want to compete and you don't want to pay your customers, clients, yield for having their savings in the bank. Again, extension of this. We've been at this, the market was supposed to be January. However, what a beautiful coincidence again, that during this 4-year cycle, this down period where Bitcoin is going down and the crypto market's going down with it, right? It mirrors time where the people in power are refusing to pass the Clarity Act. I've said this before and I'll say it again. The reason why people are gonna lie to you, they're gonna grift you, I'm gonna be honest. The reason why you saw the stock markets going like crazy following the M2 money supply, you saw gold and silver going like crazy following the M2 money supply, is because these are regulated markets. In the 1930s, the stock market was not regulated. We created the SEC. Later on, we created the CFTC, I believe in the 70s or something. Then in early 2000, you had the gold and silver markets really codified into law. Until we get regulation, you're not gonna see crypto catch up. Also, it's a generational shift. When you have a multi-trillion-dollar asset, it doesn't just move based on retail. 2013 moved a little bit. Obviously, retail can move an asset that's worth a few billion, right? You have enough retail that believes in it. Also, there was a country in Europe that I believe they started taking money out of their banks, and bank people were like, let me just change to Bitcoin, which is decentralized. They can't just take Bitcoin from you. Great. 2017, retail can move the market. Same thing. Retail can move this market. Why? Because it's still a multi-billion-dollar asset. 2021, you also had El Salvador then. At that point, you had El Salvador going in. You had Tesla going in. You had strategy going in. Now you can move an asset that's close to $1 trillion. An asset that was close to 4 trillion or 3.5 trillion, wherever it was, like a few months ago, 6 months ago, you can't move that with retail. You move that with a few companies deciding, hey, we're gonna put this on our balance sheet. You need governments, which we have now. We have the US federal government, big governments. I love El Salvador, I love the people. No shout at them, but El Salvador is a small country. Countries like the US and China too, which on the low, they're acquiring Bitcoin. They're not saying anything, but on the low they are. Big major economies. Also companies as well. But at the end of the day, those boomers, they're getting into gold and silver for protection. They don't buy the Bitcoin thing until it's codified, it's legal, and their people at BlackRock can go to them and be like, listen, this is codified into law, this is a commodity, this is a investment contract, which again, 99% of cryptocurrencies, according to Paul Atkins, the head of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, and the head of Mike Siegel, or Shalig, whatever his name is, of the CFTC, U.S. Commodities Futures Trading Commission, they both agree that, generally speaking, most cryptocurrencies, even the last SEC chair, what was his name again? Gary Gensler, 99.9% of cryptocurrencies are commodities. And on top of it, to make things even better, once this law passes, even if you do create it as an investment contract, the initial sale, right? Like I create a company and I sell it to everybody that watches it stream. That is a security. However, if you guys sell it to somebody else, a third person down the chain, that is now a commodity. Actually, that's really smart too, because we never had any situations like this. But understand this, there is no 4-year cycle. They've been feeding you fucking bullshit. The reality is this. It was a coincidence of a market that's immature. I just told you why 2017 crashed. Again, the initial coin offering, ICO phase bullshit. 2021, 2022, Again, it was the FTX Kwando situation. 1010, totally manufactured, in my opinion. Okay, so I have a few questions here. I usually don't do this. We're not to be rude. Why didn't I have the Dax haircut? I don't know. Actually, I usually wear cowboy hats, but like I lost my last cowboy hat. I gotta get a new one. Actually, I have one. My family has one that I left at Mama Ray's house a few months, actually a year ago, so I'll have to get that back. But retail shows someone believes in the currency. Yes, it's a peer-to-peer payment system, but this is my opinion. When we're talking about retail says people believe in currency, it's more so like myself, person A to person B, hey, I want a product. I have friends that used it like this in 2013, and here's Bitcoin for it because I can't use US dollars, I can't use a credit card or a debit card for whatever reason. But I'm gonna send you this Bitcoin from my private wallet, my private server back in those days, or my USB somehow. I'm gonna send it to you and you give me the product. And big question, bro, is Crypto Savers Club a scam? I'm not sure what that is. I always tell my boys this when they ever ask me about like cryptocurrency or whatever. There's no such thing as free in the cryptocurrency market, just like every other market in the world. Secondly, in my opinion, everything's a scam until proven otherwise. BlackRock holds 572,000 Bitcoin. Yeah, but BlackRock holds that much. But remember that BlackRock is not holding it like because they love it. They're holding it on behalf of clients so they can sell it, right? That's the whole point. They buy it and sell it based on the clients. You know who does own a shit ton of Bitcoin? That's not a major country. Strategy. They own 712,000. In my opinion, they're gonna own 1 million way before 2030. I'm saying 2030 as in like, yo, like that's the latest it's gonna take them. But like, I think that at the rate they're going, Michael Saylor said that Bitcoin can drop to $9,000. They're so solvent, they still can pay all the dividends they need to pay, all their debts. I think that it's not gonna get that low. I think that we're close to the bottom. Again, financial advice, do your own research on these. I think that we're close to the bottom, or like if we're not super close, I'm thinking like, hey, 60,000. I don't see us going below 50,000. Honestly, I think that we're pretty much here. Again, unless the Iran situation, if you guys watch my short, pops off, that might push us down. But after that, I don't see any other reason why cryptocurrency would crash under $50,000. Right? You still have Michael Saylor buying. He's propping up the space in that sense. Good thing for him, right? And on top of that, for Ethereum, again, these are the two major cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is the index, but Ethereum can also be a pseudo index or like a sidekick index. So Tom Lee is buying Ethereum every week. So as long as you have these two just buying like crazy, remember, for every buyer, there's a seller. The reason you have the price, that's the last traded price. So whoever sold it, somebody bought it at that price. That's what creates the price. The internet's version of cash. Yes, this is not about this, it's about the Fourier cycle, but I want to break this down, my personal opinion on this. So yeah, we have debit cards, we have credit cards, but at the end of the day, they always need government approval, right? FDIC insured banks or money transmitter licenses, or, and they usually inquire a fee, right? Some places like small mom and pop shops will tell you, hey, listen, we got to charge you a 3% fee if you have a purchase under $5 or under $10, right? So this is the first time that you have currency that can be peer-to-peer with no middle person per se. And hey, listen, Bitcoin specifically, yeah, there's a fee, unless you Lightning Network layer 2, but that's something else. Somebody's making money somewhere. Stable tokens, stable coins. Fun fact, if you listen this far along, if you use USDC specifically, which I like to use because I'm in the US, I love USDT better for trading, but USDC is just easier day-to-day use. If you send somebody $10 or $5 or whatever amount of money in USDC on the Solana blockchain, zero. And it's fast too. It happens in like seconds, if not minutes, and it's like, you don't pay any money. Like the $10, you send $10 on Solana blockchain, they're gonna get $10 on the other end. This is the first time that we've had a use case for a decentralized cryptocurrency in this sense. The sale can be completed, but again, that's heavy technological talk for another day. Because the best use case, again, last year, this year, for cryptocurrency has been stable tokens. That's why the Genius Act was first, and now we're talking about the the Cryptocurrency Clarity Act, where we're talking about what's a commodity, what's an investment contract, which is aka a stock, because they want to make sure that people can invest in it. First, you figure out, okay, how do we use this for its intended use case, the technology? One, now, how do we make it so that it's in a framework that's 100% legal, where investment vehicles, BlackRock's, other companies can say, listen, this is what a commodity is, this is what a stock is. With that being said, love the questions, upwards and onwards. Let's get it.